Greetings, good people. This is Kat's Corner, the podcast. I'm your host, Risikat Okedeyi, and welcome to another edition of One-on-One. This is a live series that I am doing throughout the quarantine space. And today, I just feel like it's such a blessing that I get to talk to this woman. I really do. For so many reasons, and I will probably cry at some point. So if you see tears, just ignore them. I am the Jill Scott in this situation. You're going to be Erica. I'm going to be Jill. And so I'd love to introduce to you a culture warrior, an artist, an entrepreneur, a lover of Black people and Black things, Miss Toni Blackman. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for saying yes. You didn't have to. I appreciate you. So we start the show off. So Miss Kathy, I'm not sure if you don't mind muting your audio. That'll help us. It'll keep the screen from bouncing around. Thank you so much. Okay, so I start the show off with everyone by asking this question. How are you doing today?
How am I doing today? Today I am tired. I am sleepy. My spirit feels worn, a little worn. But that's today.
Yep.
Yeah. Like I could crawl under the covers and stay there for like a good 3 days.
Yeah. Yeah. Before we started, we were talking a little bit about the passing of Ty, Ben Chijioke. It was his other name, but we knew him as Ty, British-based, Nigerian, African, amazing hip-hop artist. And I found out on Thursday that he passed, and it has been difficult, to say the least. I've been having a really hard time with it, and I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about that because you knew him as well. How are you holding up?
Yeah. I met Ty in like 1993, and saw him each time. Ended up in London, and I mean, way back to like we had Freestyle Union in DC,
right? And
they had Ghetto Grammar in London.
I didn't know about Ghetto Grammar.
Yeah, it was him and this other brother who co-founded it, and they would have these ciphers and sit in circles and was on the same, kind of hip-hop organizing, hip-hop arts, represent true MCs, the culture. And so we connected, you know what I mean? Right. And never not connected. And more recently, so this is the hard part for me is that, I spent about 15 years really healing from hip-hop, my hip-hop wounds, and doing a lot of inner work from just life and also from self-sabotage, And we were finally getting ready to work together. He sent me tracks in February, I was at late Jan. And one of the tracks was for a collaboration I'm doing with another dope artist from the Congo. And so that it's like,
yeah.
So yeah, I'm processing it.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time because it's hard to imagine a world without Ty in it. Yeah. And the last time I saw him was about 2 or 3 years ago. I was in London. I had this idea to do this video, this TV project. So he helped me out with it. He took me around Brixton and he told me the story of Brixton, and we have it on camera. I haven't had the guts to watch it. For a lot of reasons, the footage hasn't been processed yet, but I've been watching, I've actually been jumping off of social media because it's too much. He was at 47, he still had a lot to give, and his music has always been, it's interesting. So today for me and you, one of the things that keeps coming up are these connections, connecting the dots. And the way my brain works is often it goes through time shifts. And so when I think about Ty and Tony Allen dying, and then Andre Harrell dying, and then Little Richard dying, it's like these are unapologetic Black, creating folk who all left. And it's really sad, and it's hard to breathe lately. Like, it's been hard to breathe. I'm not gonna lie, it's been rough. So I think I have to write about it in order to move the energy through, because it definitely feels stuck.
Yeah, it caught me off guard yesterday. You know, when you're baking, you think you're
Mhm.
happy,
Mhm.
you're doing your thing. I was looking for a picture for my auntie's birthday,
Right.
and then I came across pictures from London,
Yeah.
and I lost it. I lost it, you know, and, you know, thinking I was already at peace with it, you know, and but the, you know, the grieving process can be so tricky.
It is.
So
And be able to have to grieve in this way, because normally I probably would have jumped on a plane and gone to London.
yeah, me. I've talked to DJ OP, and I was telling OP, I was like, dang, you know, and this would have been the week that we would have been trying to figure out how to get to London,
Mm-hmm.
because we would have been able to see everybody from throughout the years. It would have been a reunion, and then that would have helped.
Right.
You know what I mean? Assuage some of the grief, you know, and so that the mourning process is stilted and basically erased. It's taken away from us.
It is. It's yeah. I went for a walk 2 days ago because I found out Thursday. Like, so he had been sick, and they'd been sending me updates, so I knew that he wasn't well. But when I got the call, I had to call what we were affectionately referred to as the DC crew. So I had to call members of our crew to say, hey, this is what's happened. I had been keeping them updated. And girl, I had to walk. I just woke up and just went for a walk and like could not breathe. Had to like bend over like that woman in the meme. Like I couldn't, like I was just having such a hard time. And yeah, it just sucks that I can't get on a plane and go like be with my people and like just hug up on everyone and just
Yeah.
So that part is hard. And I mean, the idea of a project with you and Ty, like that just blows my mind. Like it just furthered it. Yeah. Yeah.
So I think for me, it's the process of like time, you know, time is not going to wait for us.
Right. It isn't.
And that life is going to keep happening. And how do, you know, I think that's the thing I'm coming to grips with in terms of acceptance. Like death happens and then life keeps happening. And how do we stay present?
Right.
How do we stay in the moment? How do we not check out? You know?
Which is the reason why I didn't cancel. This is the reason why I didn't cancel. Because I knew that if I did, I would be checking completely out, and I know that that's not what he would want any of us to do, and it's not a good look. Like
right.
You know, so I was like, and I knew I was going to see you on Sunday, so I was like, well, at least I'll see Toni on Sunday.
Right.
So, you know, it's a good reason to keep going. So thank you for commiserating with me, because it's been been kind of hard. So thank you for sharing that. So I had all these questions I was going to ask you. I had this whole thing planned out how I was going to do this. And then yesterday's Jill Scott, Erykah Badu Love Fest.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not a Versus person. I'm not going to lie. I've only watched the second attempt by Babyface and Teddy, and really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it. But what I saw with the Jill Scott and the Erykah Badu Love Fest was there was something about it that was reminded me of you.
Okay.
And I wanted to sort of get your thoughts on what you saw, but I also wanted to get a sense. I also wanted to use this as an opportunity. These women are iconic for a lot of reasons, but one of my irritations is this notion that the way that they love up on each other is somehow unique or sort of, you know, outlying, when that is how I am with the sisters in my life. So I wanted to sort of get your take on what you saw, and then we're going to dive into a little bit more about how you work, you know, because I think there's something very Black, magical, and woman about the way you work that has allowed you to not only create what you did with Freestyle Union, which is legendary, but then also step away, heal, and then come back using the same medium that you found abusive and oppressive. It's just, it blows my mind sometimes. So let's start there.
Oh, well, you know, I'm not one for the battle. Period.
Right.
I watch the rap battles just to keep abreast of what's happening in the culture.
Right.
I was never even a part of poetry slams because I was a scholarship competitor on the speech and drama team, and that was my job in undergrad, was to compete.
Right.
Poetry. So never got into it really, but I was a judge and I supported it because it promotes art.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was the first verses I actually sat all the way through. The others I tiptoe in, tiptoe out. But honestly, it doesn't hype me up. But this one, it felt like, when they sent one of the artists I mentor and work with at last, she sent me the video, the pre-video they did together. And that's when I knew what it was going to be.
Right.
And then I just kind of breathed easy. And that's when I got excited about it. And what I loved is like, this is what happens when women are in the Cipher.
This is what happens. Yep.
The shift.
Yep.
It energetically shifted the whole vibration.
Mm-hmm.
And then they also, when sisters step up, they take control, and what they do is for the benefit of all.
Yes.
So the verses was not entertainment only. It was a healing. And it was a healing for many because I saw people shouting that on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Like the research, the evidence is there. And so it moved me because I was like, that right there is what a sister would do. Most of the sisters I know. Right. I rock with. That's how we would move. And so that was beautiful. And what I would like to see, right, is what happens after this. I saw at least 4 young artists. Well, they're not so young anymore. But like 15 years my junior. But I remember when they were babies, right? And I saw them posting about how inspired they are and what they intend to work on this week.
Right.
That's elevation of the creative community, elevation of the community of Black women, elevation of the community of artists, and global. The other thing I noticed, I was on Twitter because Facebook was making me a little uncomfortable. So I lived on Twitter in my socializing, and I saw fam in Ghana,
mm-hmm.
in Joburg,
yep,
in Paris, in Morocco,
yep,
and in Rio, the West Coast, Cali, all watching it.
Yeah. There was a whole bunch of Nollywood folk on that joint. There were like major player actresses and actors that I am like huge geek fans of. Like, and I was like, oh my God, they were on there. And I was like, this is amazing. Because when you think of the different time zones, for over 600, at some point it was like over 700,000 people, they surpassed the last one.
Right.
And it was powerful. And it just, for me, was like, this is why if you leave Black women to do this thing,
yes,
everybody wins.
Everybody wins.
Everybody wins.
When Black women are leading, everybody always wins. Everybody's benefits.
Right.
And that's why I don't understand the resistance to Black women leading, right?
Look, let me put my glasses on. You know why.
Well, yeah, okay, yeah, you're right.
People don't want this peace. They want smoke. Black women are here. Yeah.
But I also found challenges on Facebook. I saw a few threads, by Black women who are choosing to witness this, participating in lower vibration conversations.
Well, I mean, you're always going to have that, right? I saw, like, there was one in particular that was very disappointing. I was like, wow, this is really where you are? Okay.
Like, keying about it.
Right.
And then making something out of the nothings, or making negative somethings out of something that very well may have been present, right?
Right.
But like friends, like family, we work through our shit, Right. And so it was, when I tell you, my heart was like, yo, just disappointed in some of my sisters, peers.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm past that part, because low-hanging fruit, fleas and roaches, you're always going to have that, that's just part of it. I think that, and there's a lot of Black women who mimic this patriarchal bullshit, yeah. And that are part of the problem. It just is. But I think that there were so many more who benefited from it. So Like, if y'all want to roll that way, that's nothing we can do about that. But I do think it was when Erica was like, we've been friends.
Right.
You know? And I'm not going to lie, I'm not a huge Badu fan. You know, I'm just not. You know, but the first album blew my world. And I'm not going to lie, when I found out her locks were fake, it did something to me. I don't know why. I'm shallow that way. But it did something to me. But there are some...
I'm a Baduite. So, Badu is all day, every day.
Yeah, I'm a Jill Scott. Like, the way she, man, just everything about the way she embodies her lyrics. It's just, whew. So I loved it. You know what I'm saying? I say all that to say I'm a fan of how Badu gets down. So when she was like, y'all can do that free shit, but I'm gonna be over here trying to pay my people. So I'm gonna do this stream over here. I was like, I get it. I dig it. So it's an interesting mix. But I loved what I saw. And it reminded me of what you have collectively been doing for most of your life. In terms of creating spaces for, how can I say this? For loving critique and loving feedback.
Yeah.
And the vulnerability. You said something about the Cipher. I was watching one of your videos and you said the Cipher, like a true Cipher, because you have to listen and look and exchange energy, it allows for vulnerability. Mm-hmm. And when I saw what was going on yesterday, I was like, that's what this is. And honestly, the way that those women were with each other is really kind of what I envisioned for what this series was about. Just a way for us to talk and check in and all that. So I feel like I see things and not just because I know you, but because before I even met you, everybody told me about Toni Blackman. Okay. Because I came into the DC scene maybe about 2 or 3 years after the Freestyle Union and all that stuff had gone away. So like DJ Stylist, shout out to Rome, is one of my besties. And so he was in there. He remembers all of this stuff. And he was like, yo, Toni used to do that. Like the way people talk about you is legendary. It's absolutely legendary. And so when I think that I can pick up the phone or email you and be like, hey, can you do this for me? And you're like, yeah, sometimes I'm not gonna lie, I low-key be like, it's kind of neat. But I see the seeds of what you planted. And I know you're not the only one, but I wonder sometimes, because sometimes when you're the first, you're just the first. Do you ever have moments where you feel overlooked or underappreciated? I don't know if that's a fair question, but
the last 20 years.
Okay.
The last 20 years of my life. And maybe, let me say 18 years, the last 18 years of my life. And then particularly when the bikini bottle popping era happened, it was like fade to black.
Right.
And then, but what was beautiful about that, then my spirit led me to the continent. Mm-hmm. And so I was in the continent 2, 3, 4 times a year, even sometimes. So my spirit got fed, my soul got fed in some powerful ways, but then I would come home and it would all drain out once again. I think that the overlooking one, when you're a pioneer,
right?
People are inspired and influenced by your work, and most forget to credit you. And there is no acknowledgement. And so I remember an elder, I went to a traditional healer elder who said, oh, that's not why we do the work. And I was like, dude, right. I as a woman, and women need the acknowledgement just for women. Right. And women are being erased from the narrative of hip hop constantly. Mm-hmm. And so, it took me a few years to realize this ain't ego. Right. This ain't ego.
Right. Because and I wonder do you think he would have said that too if you were a man?
No.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
Okay. I just wanted to check.
Yeah. So.
I mean, I knew the answer, but I wanted to check because I didn't want to be accused of being,
Yeah. But I did, my lawyer, Mickey Hyman, he was my business mentor for many years. He says, you're living your life as a hip hop missionary with a trust fund.
Right. Wow. Okay.
And you need to change, kiddo.
Right.
So it took me many years to hear what he was saying. But that's how much like hip hop is the love of my life. Like that's how much like I taught my first hip hop workshop when I was a junior in high school.
Right.
And before there was a hip hop ed and hip hop education, and before we knew what that was, I think we were barely using the term hip hop. You know what I mean? And so it's just, even when I abandon it, it comes back. It shows back up. And so I know that this was my calling, my purpose. I was divine, anointed to be on this path and to do this work. And whenever I just showed up, it keeps coming. But yeah, that I am grateful to be alive, to have come full circle. We had the Freestyle Union anniversary at the Kennedy Center this past December, 25 years.
Yep, and I missed it because I was in Nigeria. I was like, ah!
To 25 years. So even that was a healing for me, because I had to confront some of that pain. All of it related to me being a woman.
Look, sis, I remember when I invited you to come do the Chocolate City Rocks thing that Head Rock, shout out to Head Rock, had organized. And I did this whole Do You Remember U Street thing.
Right.
And the apprehension, you know, I remember your apprehension because I only know like of all of the amazing things, like the way people talk about you. And I don't know, because I wasn't there, so I don't know of some of the pain that you experienced. But it was really telling when I told some of the people, I was like, yeah, Toni Blackman's agreed to come. And folks were like, she agreed to come? I was like, yeah, you know, she's coming. This is kind of dope. I'm like, you can't do this without Toni Blackman. And there were some interesting sort of reverberations, we'll say, in terms of how some of the men sort of received this information. But I remember you being very protective. And I remember you saying to me, like, look, I'm doing this because, you know, I trust you and, you know, it's you, but I got to protect myself. And I have watched you go inward and do the shadow work and figure out what you need to do and come out on the other side a lot more whole. And I think that there's something really powerful about your ability to have done that and still come back and be able to look at this art form and still find value in it.
Yeah.
Because it has not been kind to women. We know this.
Yeah.
And I wonder if you don't mind sharing a little bit of how are you able to do that? Like,
well,
what did it take?
Well, you know, one of the reasons I left DC is because it had gotten too small. And Edward Miller, one of my mentors, arts mentors, he told me it was time to go. It's time to go. And so I packed up. My brother had moved he was going through a divorce, and so his son. And so I had road dogs, you know, to get there. And as soon as I got here, though, came to Brooklyn. I was in Fort Greene. I was having ciphers in my living room again because I couldn't stop. And then I went through a different kind of struggle. But I literally lived a movie. Like in college, I went through a deep depression. My junior year, gained a lot of weight. Then I lost it about 5-6 years later and was super fit working with a trainer. I remember a big show. It was Georgia Avenue Day. And then one of the MCs, like he says, who are you trying to be, Little Kim? And I had on like a tennis dress.
Right.
It was like a little short, mini-ish, but it was like a full covered tennis dress and I saw that picture yesterday and I thought of it when I was digging for the pictures of Ty. And so it was just like that. And I remember being told, you know, you use us as a crutch for whack-ass daughter shows. And any mistake I made, the slightest mistake, there would be a big spotlight. But meanwhile, I was doing all the grunt work.
Right.
All the organizing, securing the venue, the flyers, the people, making sure everybody had the information. And I lived in this path of idealism and also not knowing how to articulate and communicate my pain because I was afraid of being called a bitch.
Right.
I was raised to be a nice girl, a good girl.
Good girls don't complain.
Good girls don't complain, and they definitely don't complain about men.
Right.
Because if you do that, no man will ever want you. And so all the programming, and meanwhile, I had a man, you know, but in the underlying conversations and the socialization were in control. So what I had to do was I had to break down each of those underlying beliefs one by one, and then create and establish new beliefs about myself,
Right.
about women, about Black women, and about Black men.
Right.
Because though those men don't represent all.
Right.
And so the wounds were so deep, the things that they said to me, the way they behaved with me, the way they treated me, it built up over the years. And then to come through New York, I was going to go just get deeper in the music industry.
Right.
That brought other kinds of wounds, attempted rape and, game plan. And if you don't do this, all of a sudden, the brother don't have no beats for you. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I had this naivete because no woman had trained me. I thought certain things would stop as you got older.
Right.
So naive. I was so naive. And I had expectations of people to be good.
Right.
And I thought that people would do what they say they would do and were worthy. And so for me, it was just a lot of needing to learn about life. And the healing required energy. I ended up having to work with an energy healer. Mm-hmm. I had done all of the landmark education stuff up to the highest, sort of joining. And then it wasn't working. I needed a healer. So I was with this sister who's Black American and Native American, and she used the drum, and she was mastering like 5 different modalities. Mm-hmm. Then I had to go back to Dr. Debin from African Holistic Health Association, who was an herbalist, nutritionist, counselor, and master hypnotherapist, and an elder. And he helped me heal and understand the male masculinity in a different kind of way. And so there's like all this stuff I realized, I'm like, dang it, there are many of us who go through our entire lives not understanding these concepts.
Right.
And without that lack of understanding, then we limit our joy. We sit around trying to figure things out that don't need to be figured out. And so that was part of it. So I was in therapy the last 3.5 years. I finally reached a point, but that was after my burnout. I went through a severe burnout crash in 2016. I didn't realize it, but I had been sick for about 7 years. But I
remember you posting something about that.
Yeah.
And I think, what you touch on is really important, because I think specifically for Black women, we don't understand that we're burnt out, because we've never been taught that is possible.
Right.
And when I think about the way, it was interesting because for the men that talked about you, because I only knew the men, I didn't know the sisters, except for Jay Scales, who I think was in Daughter of the Cipher as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So most of the folks that I'd spoke to, or that I don't even spoke to, but like revered you, were brothers who tend to be a little bit more even-keeled and intellectual. And I remember, because the way that stylists would talk about you, I was like, I want to meet this sister. Like, she sounds amazeballs. And I think there was also an understanding that the nature of the genre also created this tension that required you to have to sort of, pack your bags and go get your life. But I applaud you for being, for talking about it. Because one of the things that I've always loved about your posts and what you share is that you're not afraid to share the toxicity that you dealt with. You don't name names, so it's not from a place of, oh, this person, that person. But I do think it's important for us to understand that work of nation building, because, people talk about nation building, but they always seem to think about it in a male sense. And there's really very little understanding or regard for the fact that women are building nations on a regular basis. I'm not even talking just about the physicality of having a baby, but literally the women are the ones. Like, I told somebody, I was like, you Black men would die 10, 12 years prematurely if it weren't for Black women.
Right.
For those of you that listen to Black women. And so I want to know a little bit more about how you manage to balance out that very important aspect of history making and taking and writing with, your personal needs to get free and be healed. Because I can't imagine it's always been easy to share some of the things that you've shared, but I also wonder why you feel compelled to do it, or how you got to the point where you're like, look, people need to know this?
Well, it was Pram Dubin from the African Holistic Health Association in Washington, D.C. that taught me that was my part of my medicine. Mm-hmm. It was to dance to drums. Mm-hmm. He says, your energy, the fire within you can be so calmly intense. Mm-hmm. If you're not careful, you will explode. Mm. And so you have to do this. He also said that you store so much information and so much emotion on top of being porous.
Right. Yeah.
Absorbing the world's pain. You have to release. Otherwise, it will cause physical ailments in your body. And so I did listen to him. It takes 7 years, sometimes hard head. But then I heard his voice one day when I was dealing with some sort of physical illness. Mm-hmm. And I started to do it. And I started to get sick a lot less often. Mm-hmm. And I realized that I thanked God. My Aunt Jennifer is the reason I'm a poet. And I'm glad she started me when I was 7 years old. And that's why she had me write, to get stuff out of me, because I would just hold it in. So that's been like a big part of my process. My healing process is the actual sharing. Mm-hmm. And also I just thought it was, I've had conversations with women more established as MCs in the business, some very well known, but in the green room or before panel, and they concur with all of whatever I say, but they never discuss it publicly.
Right.
Never.
Right.
And they even sometimes act like it's not a big deal.
Right.
Publicly. And when I have to be careful because I don't want to,
right?
Because they didn't give me permission to share.
Right.
But it just fascinated me. So I'm saying, so how are the young women that come behind us supposed to learn? Mm-hmm. How are they supposed to know to do different? I remember being in Senegal for one of the residencies, and I was having, like, I guess you call it brunch. We were all eating early in the day. Water. And the conversations got really real. And one of the women, she said, she started to tell me how she rocked this show, and all of the men gave pounds to the men, but they didn't give her one.
Right.
And I was like, yo, I said, that's hip hop, yo. That's just hip hop. And so she was 26, mm-hmm. like feeling a little hurt.
Right.
And then I was like, dang, it's just like, it's universal.
Right.
Universal, but she had killed it.
Right.
And so there's that space. But so for me, this healing, I don't know if I'm answering the question because now
you are.
Okay. So for me, this healing, it's like multi-layered, and I don't have a choice. I think some people get to live this lifetime, mm-hmm. Living in that realm of confusion and chaos. They can just get up and go to work, and they can hate their job.
Right.
I don't have a choice.
Yep.
If I am in a place, in a toxic work environment, my stomach locks up. Mm-hmm. I get eczema if I am worried about something. Mm-hmm. I can't sleep if I'm too anxious, and then my immune system breaks down and I start to catch colds and flu and bronchitis. Right. So it took me some years to figure it out. And so I just started to tell the truth. Now, I was uncomfortable. One of my business advisors, Yodi, I've been working off and on for years, and Yodi said, he said, look, we're not even going to work on marketing gimmick or whatever. Your gimmick is you. Just tell the truth.
Just tell the truth.
And get comfortable enough with that. So it took me a few years to really get comfortable.
Right.
Telling the truth. But then it took me back to my writing training with Ethelbert. Mm-hmm. And I realized this is why I hadn't been able to write anything good in 20 years either. Because I haven't liked my writing, in many years. And I haven't written anything I love. Like
right.
I love.
Right.
But it's because I had started to withhold.
Right. So that inner self-censoring that says, no, we're not going to talk about that. Yeah, I struggle with that. That bitch is rich. She's so disrespectful. Oh, I don't like her at all.
And she will block all of your blessings.
Don't do that. Don't do that. And I'm like, come on, this will be good. And I'm like, don't do that. Yeah, we're gonna tie her up and put her in a corner. So in one, thank you so much for being so transparent, because I do think that is a big problem within our artistic community, where we aren't willing to get on record and say this is what we think is happening. How has quarantine affected you in your creative process? Has it been helpful? Has it been hurtful? Like, what is it? Well, how are you feeling in your body with all of this?
Well, I think it took me about 10 days to recover from the fact that 2020 wasn't happening.
Right.
As planned.
Right.
I had work booked through October. This was the most work I had booked early in the year in about 15 years.
Wow.
And it was some of everything: artist residencies, some touring, work in Senegal. I got cast for a production in Ohio for a school tour with a super dope composer. Everything was well paying.
Yes.
This was my get out of debt year.
Woo!
And then it one by one, over the course of 4 weeks, everything got canceled.
Right.
And even after having meetings with certain projects about going virtual, most of them were afraid.
Yeah.
Try something new.
Right.
And then I realized the people who are afraid have a cushion.
Mm-hmm.
They don't need the work.
Right.
They don't need the money.
Right.
And now I'm out here in this ocean, so it's the quarantine has brought out the kind of creativity that happens when you have two choices: evolve or die.
Mm-hmm.
So I chose to evolve.
Okay.
And I chose to, everyone's tired of this word, but I chose to pivot. And pivoting has landed me in some really awesome spaces. At first, I was taking way too many courses because Virgo. I was like, you're not going to learn these 20 things at the same time. Right. So take it down. So I finally lightened up on the classes. And then, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Mm-hmm. I started coming across different opportunities. And then I was in this webinar in a coaching thing with Coach Ozioma, who has Bright. And she has this program called Strategic Evolution. And just like, how you hear about this coaching thing and right. Help you to, girl, 2 conversations with Ozioma. I'm on fire.
Yes, I love it.
Completions list over here. I got my follow-through list over here, and I'm struck.
Virgos love lists, man. As a Sagittarius, I hate lists. They get on my nerves.
As in my cousin Carla the Taurus, she said, "You've been making lists since we were 5 years old." I said, "Was I?" She says, "You had a list in the 1st grade."
I love lists.
I love my list. So I actually have foam core and colored paper. And I got like at least 6 lists on the wall because nobody's here but me and I don't have Airbnb. So this is like
right.
My little but the creativity is so high. I've gotten 4 more videos edited. Are
you editing them yourselves or do you have help?
Oh, with those videos. Oh, see, this is the other beauty of the continent. I have mentees.
Art.
Who are like pitching in at very low affordable rates.
Look.
But Emor, a young filmmaker, photographer, painter, genius, African genius, in Nairobi.
Okay.
I worked with this organization called Artist Hub. And Nairobi has all those hubs and innovation.
Yeah, they're trying to do good things over there.
So Emor we shot 2 videos when I was in Nairobi last year. Mm-hmm. And so he edited those and we started to build a rapport and a relationship.
Okay.
And there's a kid in Morocco as well I've been working with. So, and then I have started to learn editing during the quarantine. It's one of the things I'm learning. And it's one of the things that I didn't learn before because my ex-creative partner, told me you don't need to learn all that, and
Right.
I listened.
Right.
And so the quiet of quarantine is making me realize how little I've actually listened to myself.
Mm.
And so I'm good, but I'm writing. I'm working on the next phase of a work in progress for a hip hop theater piece, Wisdom of the Cipher, based on my book, and I'm recording. I learned how to record myself. I refreshed, and so I'm recording vocals at home. Mm-hmm. I'm working on a project with DJ Cherish the Love for the Dilla Foundation, and it's a meditation mixtape with Dilla beats with my books. And so it's like mad official, and I'm so excited about that because the universe is kind of meeting me where I'm going.
Right.
And I connected with this brother. He reached out to me on LinkedIn. His name is Chef Alex Askew. He runs the Black Culinary Alliance. He's done all the big stuff, the Food Network and stuff in South Africa. And he's Brooklyn born and raised, I think. But so he has a mindful eating movement.
Okay.
One of the few chefs of color in that lane. And he's bringing together all these chefs of color. And
wait, when you say chefs of color, do you mean Black chefs, or like is this inclusive of brown folks as well? And
I mean, it is. It's all. Yeah, it's all. Yeah. He's including all people of color in his book. A book he had put together with experts, and so now we're looking at how can we complement one another, because he's working on food insecurity, food deserts, and then this young chef Etef, the gangster gardener. So we've been talking as well, and he's an MC. He's a dope MC who just happens to be an innovator and a visionary. So I'm collaborating. Right. I don't know if I can say anything yet. I'm collaborating with a few people I've dreamed of collaborating. I mean, like, been dreaming of collaborating. So I'm ready for it, girl.
You look ready. You look ready, ma'am. You look ready to go.
I got 10 tracks being mixed. I got 7 that were mastered, and got to do some legal stuff. And boom, 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 boom. Rhyme Like a Girl. We're getting the site updated. So there's a revenue stream for a few of the core artists to be able to do their thing. And we have music we recorded in 2018, the summer 2018. That we are getting mastered, and we're finishing up getting 2 music videos edited, and 1 we're actually shooting remotely. Okay. So sister in Vegas, sister in New Orleans, and then I'm in one in Boston, and I'm in Brooklyn. So yeah, I'm gonna be content. Like I'm excited. At first I was sad that it took the quarantine. Right. But then I realized, like in the struggle, in the ugly, if we slow down enough, if we're willing to get our hands dirty and do the real work, that there's beauty underneath the dirt. Right. Lift the soil up, put your hands in there, and there's beauty in there. So this is going to be my most productive year since the 90s. I haven't had this kind of creativity since I was in DC. And
I have to say, one of the things I was telling wife, I was posting somewhere, as daunting and as terrible in terms of the number of people that have been infected and died as a result of COVID-19, this is a great opportunity to remake the world in our image. It really, really is. And what I'm hoping is that all the petty fears and the worries that we have about putting out stuff and sharing stuff, like I really had to, shout out to Ishmael Sekari from Afropolitan Insights. He's been trying to get me to do a Cat's Corner like this forever. Yeah. And I was like, no, I like audio. I don't want to be seen, this, that, and the third. And he was like, I got a studio. I need you to do this. And I couldn't wrap my head around how I was going to make it work. And we went and we did all the staging, and he was like, it's just what you want to do is just a little too much. We can't manage it. I was like, okay, cool. So we'll figure it out. And I wasn't going to do this, but Spirit was like, we're going to sit on your head until you do this, and you will not be able to sleep. And every time you're up, we'll remind you, and you're going to do this whether you like it or not. And it doesn't matter, just do it. And this has been life-giving. So I think that the quarantine, for those of us that carry a lot of bags and are super busy, this is what we need to create, because whether we like it or not, trying to create in the space of what was considered normal was just too difficult. It really was. Like, we literally needed the world to stop spinning in order for us to do this.
Yeah. Yeah. And now my problem solving skills are back. Like, I have used this Virgo creative Libra rising Aquarius moon mind of mine.
Oh, right. All right.
To help to support like 20 different people in my life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that has been fascinating. It just being able to support people and like the solutions. You can do this, and that, and that. I'll call it that. Here's your mission statement. Oh, extract this paragraph from here. And like literally last week I was dancing, blasting South African house music. Like, I'm back.
Good.
I am back. So, you know, physically, I have health stuff that needs to be dealt with because I'm high risk.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is very challenging. It's very challenging not to go into worry zone. But I also, when I do what I'm supposed to do, which requires a lot of effort and discipline, but when I do it, I have less fear. I have less stress about it. So, but it's a lot. It's a lot when, you know, dealing with, you know, having a history of asthma. I had severe asthma growing up. So I was about 26 when I started working with Dr. DeBen and changed a lot of my life. And then dealing with reflux that came from taking a leave and Advil and all that stuff. So dealing with that and what that has done to my body to cause GERD, and I had to cut out a lot of foods, and I'm a foodie.
Right.
So I can't eat jollof rice.
Ah.
So if I have it, it's like a treat.
Yeah. I'm so sorry.
It's just a treat. It's a treat, like a special day.
Right.
And I can't go back.
Right.
I had a food party in Cotonou, in Benin, late June, early July of last year. And that food party damaged my inside so much that I'm still healing, because I had pepper soup one too many times, and I had the okra stew, and I had a party, man.
I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes
peppers were.
It's worth it. You just be like, all right, I'm gonna suffer. But I'm a Sagittarius, so we live on the edge. I will be like, this is gonna hurt, but I'm gonna enjoy this, and I'll just.
I called when I got back. I coughed. I could not sleep laying down for 3 weeks.
Wow, girl, what was going? Dang.
Yeah. I could not sleep laying down for 3 weeks. So, and my body has like reached its max. You know, they say at a certain age, certain things, you can't go back. So how to maneuver through eating the foods I love. Now I got to get really creative. But some things I figured out, you know,
right.
Some things I figured out. Use less tomato, you know.
Tomatoes for some people are just, you know, they're not your friend.
And then less pepper, you know, like all of those things. So I'm figuring it out. It's not the same, but I'm figuring it out. And so some may laugh at the dishes, but they keep me breathing.
And we want you upright in here, my dear. So we will take it. We will take whatever version of jollof you have to make to stay on this side.
So yeah, but yeah, what I'm excited about during this time is that I see so many people, so many beautiful people, so many talented people, so many creative people surrendering to the call.
Mm-hmm.
And I want everyone to really understand that the pull, the tug is bigger than you. And although it may feel or seem like you're just finishing your dream project or you're finding a new way to make money, it's bigger than you. Because when good people, good heart and pure intention, like give out to the universe, it really, it changes things.
Right.
It changes the course, you know, of our journey, and you impact other people's lives.
Right.
And so I've just been really like, Les Brown, Tony Robbins, Lisa Nichols over here, like, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it. Let's go, let's go. And also, you know, I don't want to be out here by myself.
Right.
Let's get it, y'all.
Yeah, for real.
Do the thing you know that you were supposed to do in this lifetime. You have an opportunity now.
Right.
Start over, start from scratch, or revisit, remake. Do it now.
I love it. Well, you know, because I have no concept of time either. And I just realized we've almost hit the hour mark. So,
like Erica.
Look, yeah, time is circular for me. I'm like, it doesn't matter. But it does to a certain extent when it comes to these programs. So I wanted to open this up. If there's anyone who is part of our live audience that has a question, feel free to place it in the chat so that we can get that question asked of Miss Toni. While people are thinking about that, I wanted to also find out. I just was interested, as someone who has lived so long in the hip hop space, you've seen lots of shifts and changes. You know, like we're that generation that remembers before internet and cell phones and, you know, pay phones and now. What have you seen shifts that make you really excited in terms of the hip hop space?
Well, I think one of the shifts that excite me is when I saw how many women were producing and creating.
Okay.
And then, so that was cool. And then also when I saw that it wasn't just young women creating, and they grown women were revisiting, you know, their creativity in hip hop. And it wasn't just MCs, but DJs and dancers and the visual artists and the beatboxers as well. So that excites me to no end. And then this trend with wellness and meditation and mindfulness and healing and veganism and eating healthier and taking better care of ourselves. Hearing that in the lyrical content is very beautiful. I wrote an article for Ambrosia for Heads that summer 2018, and I just remember how many dope young artists I was discovering that were writing these vulnerable lyrics and talking about meditation and using references to health and fitness and well-being, and that I knew, like, okay, we cooking with gas now. It's about to unfold. Right. And people getting into this headspace. So that trend is one that we're going to need. Like, I've been working on hip hop meditation stuff with intention since 2013. It actually started in Freestyle Union.
Right.
But since 2013, recording and creating, and then to see that Diddy had a guided meditation on Audible.
Right.
And see Erica hosted a guided meditation last week. And then RZA had the guided meditation EP. Yeah. And then the producers, Chris and T, had a manifestation, their EP manifestations, which is mantras to the dopest trap beats in the world. And so it's like confirmation, and them manifesting that and putting that out into the universe now has people who I've been trying to get their ears checking for me.
Right.
Saying what you're working on. And so it's a beautiful thing, because the next crisis is going to be mental health. Yeah,
I agree. And, you know, it keeps your story keeps bringing me back to, you know, you've been innovating. You've been in this space for a very long time. And I want us to find a way to make sure that the innovators get their flowers while they're here. I really, really, really do. Because I remember when you told me about the meditation tracks, like almost, I want to say it was 5 or 6 years ago. Yeah. You're like, yeah, I'm working on this. And then I remember when I saw RZA's thing and I was like, that's interesting. And so I really want us to, and I'm really urging, everybody who's going to watch this video, people who are listening now, like, we have got to find a way to make sure the innovators get their credit, because I think it's a hard life to be creating all of this amazing stuff. And then, you see somebody else do it and you kind of laid the foundation. And I'm not saying that these ideas are only yours, but we got to find a better way.
Yeah, no, it's real. It's real. Even a friend who was going to represent me in the project, this is a few years back, and then she was supposed to represent me, and then she said she didn't have time to represent me, and then 6 months later, she gave me a warning, but she was representing someone else who much more famous, bigger global footprint.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, they're doing the thing.
Sure.
And so it's just like with this person who has mad love for me. And when I tell you, I'm like, yo, even when we're doing, once again, Tony's naivete.
Right.
Because for me, I thought I'd be protected because the intentions and the content.
Right.
And
so you didn't make me sign an NDA, huh?
And then I had a habit of just giving everything. I was so excited to do the work, sharing it with everybody. So now I'm learning this whole, learning to value what I create.
Right.
To value my ideas, to value my talent, and to know the value that I am adding to the world, and to not underestimate it, because some of it comes easy.
Right.
But that does not mean that it's not valuable.
Exactly.
Yeah. So.
Well, Kathy D wanted to say she had no questions, but she wanted to thank you for sharing your journey. And I want to thank you for sharing your journey, because this has been exactly the kind of medicine I knew I was going to get and that I knew I needed. So thank you.
Yes.
I appreciate you. I love you dearly. Last question. So I have an opening question and a last question for each of these sessions. First thing you're going to do once the quarantine's lifted?
Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm starting to pack up my place. I'm figuring out how to let go of my apartment and how to let go of New York City.
Okay.
I'm not there yet, so I'm not going to announce anything. But I got a message, from the ancestors 3 years ago. And I packed up to move twice, literally got my place subleased and put stuff in storage. And then I ended up back here each time. So I said, well, work it out, show me the way. My vision was to live on the continent of Africa. I have 2 locations in mind, and I don't know how it's going to happen. We have to see how this virus plays out.
Right.
But I'm setting myself up to work virtually as much as possible so that I can be wherever it is that I need to be. I'm learning new technology. I'm learning how to take the app, Jam Kazam app, where you could jam with somebody in London and LA at the same time. I'm learning how to teach online and create online. And the first thing I'm probably going to be doing is prepping. I don't know when the move can happen.
Right.
But that's what's in my head.
I think we're going to see a lot of people doing that.
Yeah.
I think there is going to be an exodus. So wherever you land, I will find you and we'll talk about it. So thank you so much for sharing a bit of your Sunday with us. I really appreciate you. Thank you to everyone that was able to tune in, and thank you to all of those that are watching this now as the recording. This concludes this session of Cat's Corner, the podcast, and thank you all again for hanging out with us. So I'm out, because this culture ain't gonna make itself. Take care, Toni.
Bye. Peace. Thank you, Kat.
You're welcome.